It was a quiet Thursday afternoon in June 2020 when Clint Eastwood drove down from Carmel to Los Angeles for a series of meetings about his next film project. At 90 years old, he still preferred to drive himself. And that day, he pulled up to the Meridian Grand in Beverly Hills in his old pickup truck, dressed in jeans and a simple button-down shirt. He had stayed at the hotel many times over the past 2 decades. It was elegant without being overwhelming, refined without being flashy, and most importantly, it was quiet. He had booked a standard room online for 2 nights. He didn't need a suite or special treatment. He just needed a comfortable place to sleep between meetings. The Meridian Grand was one of those boutique luxury properties designed to resemble a European manor house, complete with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and velvet armchairs arranged carefully across the lobby. The guests it attracted were typically entertainment executives, wealthy tourists, and business travelers who valued exclusivity and discretion. That afternoon, around 15 people were scattered across the lobby, some seated and scrolling through their phones, others waiting near the concierge desk or elevators. Behind the front desk stood Ashley Reynolds, 26 years old, an aspiring actress who had moved to Los Angeles chasing a dream. To pay her bills, she worked reception at the hotel. Over 8 months on the job, she had learned that the Meridian Grand prided itself on catering to a particular kind of clientele. Her manager had emphasized the importance of managing guest expectations, especially when it came to the hotel's steep rates. Standard rooms began at $450 per night before taxes and fees, and misunderstandings at checkout were something management tried hard to avoid. When Clint walked through the lobby doors in his casual clothes, Ashley made a quick assessment. She saw an elderly man dressed simply, driving a modest vehicle, and unconsciously placed him into a category. Perhaps he was picking someone up. Perhaps he had mistaken the hotel. Perhaps he didn't fully understand the cost of staying there. She didn't recognize him. She didn't see a Hollywood icon. She saw what she believed was a potential problem waiting to happen. Clint approached the desk calmly, placing his driver's license and credit card on the marble counter. Checking in. "Reservation under Eastwood," he said. Ashley smiled politely and typed his name into the computer. The reservation appeared immediately. 2 nights, standard room, checking in that day. Instead of processing it right away, she looked back up at him and made a decision that would change her afternoon. "Mr. Eastwood," she began carefully, "before we proceed, I should inform you that this is a luxury property. Our standard rooms are quite expensive. I want to make sure you're aware of the rates before we finalize anything." Clint looked mildly surprised. "I made a reservation. The rate was listed when I booked." "Yes, of course," she replied, attempting to sound helpful. "But sometimes online bookings can be confusing. Our standard rooms start at $450 per night, and that doesn't include taxes or additional fees. With everything included, your 2-night stay will be over $1,000. I just want to ensure there are no surprises." Her tone, though polite, carried a slow, deliberate cadence, often reserved for someone perceived as uninformed. The sound carried across the lobby, and a few guests began to glance over. "I understand the rate," Clint said evenly. "I'd like to check in, please." Ashley hesitated. Something in her mind told her she was protecting both the hotel and the guests from an awkward situation. "There's a Holiday Inn about 2 miles from here," she added. "It's very nice and much more affordable, around $150 per night. That might be a better fit." The lobby grew quieter. A man lowered his phone. A woman waiting for the elevator turned fully toward the desk. The conversation was no longer private. "What makes you think I need a better fit?" Clint asked calmly. Ashley felt the heat rise in her face, but continued. "I'm just trying to help. This hotel caters to a specific clientele, and I want to make sure you're comfortable with the pricing structure." "You think I can't afford to stay here?" he asked. It wasn't aggressive. It was direct. "I didn't say that," she replied quickly. "I'm simply doing my job." "Because of how I'm dressed?" he asked. "Sir, I'm not making judgments," she insisted, though her voice betrayed uncertainty. More people were openly watching now. The concierge had stopped mid-task. The entire lobby felt suspended in anticipation. "Check me in, please," Clint repeated quietly. Ashley picked up his driver's license and began entering his information into the system. She typed his full name and pressed enter. The screen lit up with information she hadn't expected. VIP Gold Elite member since 2001. Lifetime stays, 127 nights. Preferred guest rate participant. Special note, ownership group investor. Notify general manager upon check-in. Her face drained of colored eye in the back office. General manager David Chin saw an automatic alert appear on his computer. Clint Eastwood had checked in. David immediately pulled up the security feed and saw Ashley frozen at the desk, Clint standing calmly, and a silent audience forming in the lobby. He knew Clint had been an investor in the hotel's ownership group for nearly 20 years. He also knew something had clearly gone wrong. David hurried out to the lobby. "Mr. Eastwood," he said, slightly breathless. "Welcome back. I would have greeted you personally had I known you were arriving." The lobby fell completely silent. Clint gestured toward Ashley. "Your desk clerk was concerned I might not be able to afford to stay here." David blinked. "I'm sorry. She suggested the holiday. It might be more in my price range." David slowly turned to Ashley, who stood frozen, still holding Clint's license. The weight of what she had done settled heavily over the room. "Did you suggest that Mr. Eastwood, one of our most valued guests and an investor in this property, should stay elsewhere?" David asked carefully. Before Ashley could speak, Clint intervened. "She was doing what she thought was her job," he said. "Managing expectations. Making sure people understand what they're getting into. By judging guests based on their appearance," David said quietly. "By judging me based on my appearance," Clint corrected gently. David addressed the lobby, apologizing for what had unfolded and reaffirming that every guest deserved dignity and respect. He asked Ashley to step away from the desk, but Clint held up his hand. "That won't be necessary," he said. "She made a mistake, a correctable one." He looked directly at Ashley. "You assumed I couldn't afford to stay here because I'm an old man in casual clothes driving a pickup truck. Everyone makes assumptions. The problem isn't having them. It's acting on them." Tears filled Ashley's eyes. "I'm so sorry. Don't apologize for thinking it," Clint replied. "Apologize for acting on it." He explained calmly that every person walking through those doors deserved equal professional courtesy, whether dressed in designer suits or jeans, whether arriving in a Ferrari or an old truck. The lesson wasn't harsh. It was measured, almost paternal. "I've had a long drive," he concluded. "I like to check into my room." Another clerk completed the process quickly and handed him the key card. He nodded politely and walked toward the elevator, leaving behind a lobby full of witnesses who had just observed a masterclass in quiet dignity. In David's office later, Ashley expected termination. Instead, she received a stern but constructive conversation about implicit bias and the responsibility of hospitality professionals to treat every guest equally. She was placed on probation and required to undergo additional training. She stayed at the hotel for 2 more years before eventually landing an acting role that launched her career. But she never forgot that afternoon. In later interviews, she would recount the story not as an embarrassing celebrity encounter, but as a pivotal lesson in humility. "I didn't see Clint Eastwood," she once admitted. "I saw an elderly man I could categorize and dismiss. He could have had me fired. Instead, he taught me something." The guests who had witnessed the exchange shared the story widely. The Meridian Grand became quietly known as the hotel where Clint Eastwood demonstrated grace under condescension. The management revised its training policies, emphasizing that respect should never depend on appearances. Clint continued staying there over the years. Whenever Ashley later saw him in the lobby before she left the hotel, they exchanged a small nod of mutual acknowledgement. No words are necessary. The cost of judging someone by their appearance, she learned, is always far greater than the price of a luxury hotel room.